sound, metal detecting and treasure hunting radio for you, the always valued and appreciated listener. I am your host, Josh Kimmel. You all know me. And tonight, well, I guess first off, last week with the Stealth Diggers, man, what a hoot. We had a little bit of a glitch to work through, but it was just an absolute blast. Everybody seemed to have a good time. We had a great time with the contests. It was just a lot of fun. Always fun to sit down and chat with the Stealth Diggers. I'm actually kind of surprised we didn't get a couple of calls saying, you guys are just having way too much fun. But that's alright. That's the way it goes. And I see here, kind of glancing through the chat, we've got Bob, Mr. Keebler. So shout out to the Stealth Diggers. I see Trooper Bry is also in the house. Suki, Past Pursuits, Grandma Tam. There are a number of people, so that is great to see. For tonight's show, obviously, we're talking about dog tags, the WOOF kind, animal tags, not military tags. It's a little bit of a different subject. You don't normally... Well, as a matter of fact, I can't think of a time that I've heard any of the shows cover it. But it's something different, something interesting, and you never know, you just may learn something. But before we get on with that, we should probably bring in the other people we have here. And let me guess, you guys are waiting, going, oh, yep. Here's the Dirt Bandit. Well, no. He's not lost in the mountains ginseng hunting, but he is down and out. Apparently he picked up a little more than ginseng in the mountains, and he will not be making it. He has a very bad stomach bug, we'll say. So best of luck to him. Hopefully he gets to feeling better. And at last minute, I thought, hey, I know somebody we can have set in with us. So I made a quick phone call, used a lifeline, called a friend. And tonight, we've actually got Mr. Leighton Harrington on. How's it going, Leighton? And Leighton says that the cat got his tongue. So we'll see what's going on there. Hopefully he's able to get back through. We had an issue a couple of weeks ago where his audio cut out shortly into the show. So we'll see what happens. And it does appear that we just had someone try to call in. We are not ready for callers yet. I'm sure we will be in a few minutes, though. So hopefully they can make it back to us here in a few minutes. And we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully they make it back okay. And it looks like maybe Leighton has his audio taken care of.
I think so. How you doing tonight, Josh?
All right.
All right. Sorry about that little glitch on my end. Still can't see you, but that's okay. We can work that out.
Oh, well, hopefully we get that straightened out.
No problem.
If not, we'll roll with it. But
yeah,
tonight,
it's all good.
A little bit of an interesting guest here, I think. He's got, 22 years in the hobby of metal detecting.
I'll tell you, that's quite some time, and I'm sure he's got a lot of information that the folks are going to want to hear, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, that would not surprise me. He got into dog tags some years ago. He was into coins, and, tokens are cool, and he found himself just kind of moving over towards dog tags, and I believe he actually has probably the largest collection in America of serial number 1 dog tags.
You know, I can't even imagine having something like that. What a great way to display and be, you know, in that predicament where you've got the largest amount of tags. Where do you store them all? How many rolls can you have?
Yeah, and to go for a specific number like that, wow.
You know, growing up, I always thought the lowest number was the coolest thing, too, no matter what it was that I had. I remember buying my first metal detector with my dad, and, you know, we thought number 10,000 was low, but who knew, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize, I mean, because we dig up dog tags. Some of them just, oh, well, that's neat, and then people throw them in their scrap bucket or throw them in a finds box and don't give it much thought. But there is actually a collector base for them. There are actually reference and resource materials out there for this sort of thing.
Amazing.
Yeah. But we should probably bring him in, too. Our guest tonight is Neil McElroy. How is it going, Neil?
Well, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great.
You sound
doing well. How's you guys doing?
Good. How you doing tonight?
Yeah, awesome.
Now, you're up there in Oregon, so how's the weather up there for you?
It's been super nice. We're usually known for our rainy weather, but we've had gorgeous weather this summer, and it's sticking around.
Oh.
I think you passed that rainy weather over to the East Coast. We've got 5 days of rain coming, and we've got about 2 inches already in the ground today. And we're expecting a semi-hurricane over the weekend.
Wow, we need to do a swap there, because, yeah, we're kind of in a drought here, not as bad as California, but, yeah, they are talking drought stuff here, actually, darn it.
Well, in that swap, maybe we can pull some strings and have some of that dropped in Ohio, because the dirt's awful dry.
Is it? All right.
A little hard to dig in, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, how's the conditions out there, Neil? Is that something that does it go the other way like it does here on the East Coast? You don't find as many or good conductive targets when you know it's real dry. Does it work the same way over there?
It is definitely different, and depending on your equipment, I guess. I mean, the last 4 or 5 years I've used a MindLab E-Track, and it's so different than the detectors I've used in the past. And it seems like the dry ground, I actually get less iron targets, and actually the conductive targets come in pretty well, even in the dry. It's amazing, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Those MindLabs handle the iron pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It's hard for me to say they're better or whatever. I've never been that type of guy to say I got a better detector, but they work differently, and I'm very happy with it. Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure Leighton will agree with me. I'm happy with my MindLab. I'm sure he is as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I switched from whites, like you said, Neil. One isn't necessarily better. I think it's all in the user. We've discussed this many times on the shows. His and mine and other people's shows. It's a matter of how good you learn the machine and what it's trying to tell you at the time. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah, there's lots of conditions, overlaid power lines, and there's all kinds of reasons why it might work differently. And yeah, if you change up your equipment, sometimes you might find more stuff.
That's right.
That's right. I see Miller the Bug Killer is in the house. That's a new name to see, but he does follow the show.
That's great. I love that one.
That's Jeff Miller. He's at DeCoin, Illinois. I know him.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely a good guy to talk to.
Yeah.
Definitely a Jeff. And hopefully, I see Ohio Relic Hunters in the house, and I was told that he will be wearing a certain shirt tonight. So he was very tickled to receive his package in the mail this morning. He received a Beyond Sight and Sound shirt.
Sweet.
So congratulations to him. Yeah, he posted pictures of it up on the Beyond Sight and Sound forum. He got a kick out of that. But why don't you start off with letting the listeners know you've got 22 years in the hobby, but how did you get your start?
I got started I started collecting coins as a young kid. I was like 8 years old. My parents would take me to a flea market, and there was a coin and stamp dealer that had a table, and I would go and look at his stuff, and I just thought it was amazing, see coins, large cents from the 1840s. I thought it was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen, and he was nice and gave me stuff, got me my start and interest in coins, and then it wasn't too much after that. I went to a party. One of my friends had a birthday party at a local park, and I seen a guy over in the grass doing something, thinking he was a landscaper, so I kind of wandered over there to see what he was doing, and I watched him get down and dig, and he pulled a coin out of the ground and was wiping it off. Oh my gosh. I was 8 or 9 years old, and I remember that night in bed, laying there, couldn't sleep, thinking about coins in the ground. That just floored me. I could not. I was like, I'm going to do that someday. I didn't get a metal detector until I was 20 years old or so. That's when I first got started, and that was the early 90s.
Oh, so even at a young age, that experience stuck with you.
Oh, and, I thought of it several times. That's right. Yeah, definitely. And I remember just the thought of, wow, there's actually these old collector coins that I want to have. They're actually in the ground for the taking. That's amazing. So I knew I was going to do it someday, and I've been hooked ever since.
Right.
Buddy.
Yeah, kind of going, man, all I got to do is go out and look for them. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, easier said than done, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't happen quite as easy as we would like sometimes.
Exactly, but just like anything, the more you do it, the better you get. And like I explain it to people, it's like picking up a guitar. You can't just pick up a guitar and know how to do it, and sound good. You got to takes practice and learning it, and the more you do it, the better you get. And
yeah, time spent in the field, learning the machine, learning what it's telling you.
Exactly. Getting set up right, all that stuff. That's right. So starting out and wanting to find coins, that's great. I love to find coins, but then almost everything else you find gets more interested, finding tokens and medals and medallions, and, everything has taken me one step further away from coins and numismatics, getting into the exonumia tokens, and then dog tags is one more step away from coins, really, and still in the exonumia category, but very interesting, and it's been taken all my attention for several years now, just about.
Right. Yeah. And then after getting into the hobby, you're still into coins and stuff. When did you find yourself making this, I don't know, lack of a better description, this transition into collecting dog tags?
Well, it's hard to say. I had a few. I found several with my detector and just kind of kept them. I have display cases, and it was kind of fun to put them in there. And coworkers, kind of would bring me stuff. Like, hey, look at this I found, because I'd see my stuff. I'd have big display cases in my office. I'm a property manager, and so I deal with lots of people, tenants, and stuff, and they'd bring me stuff. And I actually had one of my coworkers actually had several dog tags, old ones from Seattle, Washington, that he had gotten in a collection. And so I gave him some silver coins. Like, I like dog tags. I gave him some silver coins for him, and then I started getting on eBay and looking at them, and holy cow, and I started seeing what's out there, because the dog tags on the West Coast aren't nearly as old as the East Coast, much more, from Midwest to the East Coast. So started looking at that stuff, and wow, I was just amazed at the shapes, the sizes, the age, pre-1900 dog tags. I was just absolutely amazed, and it just kind of dropped. It's probably been the last 10 years where I've really focused on dog tags, though.
I was going to say, sorry about that. Excuse me. I didn't realize I was cutting in there too quick. I wanted to ask him a question. I mean, this is a very curious subject for me also. I mean, I've been doing this for, as most of the people know, over 43 plus years this year. I've got quite the collection of tags myself. Just a couple of points I wanted to touch on real quick with Neil. One of them is, I'm sure that, there's so many different aspects to collecting them particular tags. I'm wondering, do you try to get one from each state and as lower the number as possible? Is that how you're trying to work it? Or is it just something that, you're trying to do? It doesn't matter which one it is, as long as it's a low number.
Well, and even the low number really isn't much of a thing when I deal with other dog tag collectors. Other than number one, that's usually a prized possession just to get the serial number one. Several guys like those. I particularly really like those. But but most collectors collect their area. That's what I found. The majority of them just do their area. I know plenty of guys that like collect. Michigan is a big state. There's a lot of collectors out of Michigan, but Michigan has town-issued tags. They have county-issued tags. Townships is a big thing in Michigan. I really never knew what a township was until I got into dog tags, and I started getting these dog tags that are a certain township, and I didn't know what that was until I did the research. So out of Michigan, there is, oh my gosh, thousands of different tags issued by different agencies, and wow, yeah, it's endless. So that's mostly what guys collect, is their area.
So it's not a personal goal of yours to try to get one from each particular state, you're saying. It doesn't matter where they come from.
Yeah.
But for you personally, you'd like to try to get the number one tag if you could.
I don't care how old it is, how new it is. If it's serial number one, and it doesn't even have to be a dog tag. I collect cat license tags too. I've gotten a few cat license tags that are serial number one. I just like the number one. I have other interests too. I like where the tag, the date matches the serial number. Like if I have a 1970 dog tag and the serial number is 1970, that's interesting to me. It's actually much harder. It's easier said than done. I mean, to actually find them. I have very few in my collection. I probably have 24 in how many years I've been looking for them. It's actually very hard to find that.
Yeah, I would think that is hard to find.
Yeah.
But speaking of your collection, about how many tags do you have?
Well, I've got tens of thousands of tags, but I have a lot of trade material because I buy collections, and so I buy for a few tags in a collection, but you can't just cherry pick the collection. Usually have to offer for the whole collection. So yeah, I've got lots of dog tags. But for the stuff I focus on, still several thousand tags. Like I do collect the serial number one. I've got a few hundred of those. I've got the date matching the serial number. A few dozen of those. I also collect solid serial number where the serial number is 4 digits or more, where it's just one digit. Like if it's 22,222. Something like that. That's interesting to me, and they're not really worth more. It's just I am interested in that. So even in this weird hobby of dog tag collecting, I'm one step weirder where I collect other things that other people don't even see.
Right, there are
they
like
might not even notice that.
Niches and subcategories in the section.
Yeah, subcategories, yeah.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I wouldn't say it was weirder, Neil. I think it's more unique. Let's put it that way.
That's true. Yeah, that's fun.
Definitely.
It makes it fun with all my friends that collect, because then I can tell them my want list, send what I want, and then they tell me what they're interested in. So if I find something, and then we do trading, we love doing trade. And it's amazing how many I just get packages in the mail. They'll find one in the collection, just mail it to me. They don't even expect anything in exchange, because they know down the road I'll probably find something that they like, and I'll just send it to them,
That's
so
cool.
it actually, in this hobby, I've met the very nicest people, there's great people. When I dealt in coins, I did a lot of dealing in coins too, and I actually met a lot of coin dealers, very unpleasant people. They weren't the nicest guys, but in these dog tag guys, they're just a different niche and a different group of people, definitely.
A
whole different passion.
Different breed of person, so to speak.
Yeah, different breed. That's right.
Well, you're not alone. I was going to say, you're not alone either, Neil, when you're talking about these particular little niches, as you call them, or different uniquenesses. I did the same thing back in 1976 when they reissued the $2 bills. So what I did was I had a friend of mine in a bank who actually cherry-picked a couple of $2 bills for me because they came out in 1976, reissued. I had them get me the last 4 serial numbers that said 1976. So you're not alone. I did the same thing. We were thinking the same way, only 20 years apart.
That is awesome. Yeah, that's highly interested now. Someone would love to have that, definitely. Yeah.
And we've actually got a question in the chat about cat tags. What states actually, I'm sure quite a few did, but are there a few that you can think of right off the top of your head that actually issued cat tags?
Well, they're mostly the cat tags I've seen are city or town issued ones. I've only got a few in my collection. I've seen the earliest ones I've seen is Seattle, Washington, all the way back to the 20s. and they're a very small tag, about the size of a dime, actually. I've never owned one. I've seen a few in collections, but they're I'm assuming they'd be probably spendy. I've never even seen one up for sale. They're so rare. But yeah, 1920 something, 29. I think I've seen a 1929 once of a Seattle, Washington cat license tag. But yeah, I've never seen a county issued one or a state issued one. And the bigger agency you get, the bigger numbers. Like the towns didn't issue as many as like the county. The county is covering a lot more people, so they're much more common. The county issued tag doesn't mean they're worthless, but they're just not usually as desirable as the older town ones. But yeah, a lot of towns now mix them together. They say pet license on it instead of cat or dog. They kind of mix them together, but it's hit and miss, and you're not sure why some areas issue them and some don't. Like some cities don't issue them. You got to go to the county, but some cities do it, and you don't have to go to the county. It just depends on your area, I guess. And there's a lot of unknowns actually with the hobby still. There's still lots of towns and stuff that issue tags that we've never seen reports of. So we'd love to get reports from people. We keep a database, and there's a book, a wonderful reference book written by Dr. Bill Bone. He's out of Clinton, Kentucky. He lives in Hickman County, Kentucky, and he's done it for more than 40 years. And yeah, he's got an awesome reference book. I have the very newest issue of it, so it's got the very newest information, and I keep it updated because there's always reports. Every week I've got new reports, whether it be from metal detectorists or I get on eBay and just look at tags that are put up for sale, and so we document all those that we see, and yeah, we like to keep a running tab. Basically, we're just documenting the oldest known from every issuing agency, whether it be a city, county, township, borough. New York, there's boroughs, and New Jersey. Anyway. Yeah.
What a fitting name for an author to write a book that primarily documents dog tags.
And that's how he got started. And he is a veteran. He's a retired veterinary doctor. He grew up in Kentucky, went to Auburn, studied at Auburn for his veterinary license, and then he practiced some in New York and mostly in Florida. Retired. So I'm not sure how long he's been retired. I think close to 20 years now. I actually got to go visit him in western Kentucky. Took a trip out there last October. Got to do some metal detecting out there. Drove a little bit through Missouri and Illinois, Kentucky, down into Tennessee a little bit to look at it, and had a great time. We had a blast.
And what was the name of this book again?
The book is just called U.S. Dog License Tags. You can get it on, I think, on Amazon. You can get it on there. You can get it directly from him. You can buy it. It is a little spendy. It's $65. That's postage paid. A lot of his, like I said, work. He's put in so many years into this to accumulate this. There's a lot of information, lots of stuff on dog licensing. It even starts out and it explains why they even license dogs. Why did they make people pay to have a dog? And the reason is lots of dogs would get out and kill people's livestock, and to reimburse the farmers for what they lost, and people had to pay a tax to have this dog, so they could get reimbursed for it. And that was way back in the early 1800s when they did that. Wow. But then issue a dog tag, the first city to issue an actual tag to be affixed to the dog's collar, Charleston, South Carolina, 1850 was the first year of that. So those are that's like the holy grail of dog tag too. If you can get one of those, oh my gosh, yeah, it'd be worth a lot of money. The same person that made those is the same guy that made slave tags. It was the same person that was commissioned to make those. So yeah, but so much interest because they look very similar to a slave tag, those dog tags. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. Do you have any of the slave tags?
No, I do not, and I'd love to go and dig one myself. How people do. No, I've never had one of those. Those are
I can't say that I've ever dug one either. I think I'm just in the wrong part of the country, but it is what it is. I'll take all the other history stuff that we have on the East Coast, but I was just going to ask real quick too, Neil. How about livery tags or something like that? Is that something that you also collect?
Well, myself, I don't have any, but I definitely would love to get some. I've seen some really neat ones. They are rarer than dog tags, harder to find. I don't know a lot of guys that do collect them, but I think they get them because the interest is still there, just like me liking dog tags. So I do have some cat tags because they're very similar, and I would love to get one. There is actually goat tags too that are extremely rare too. So yeah.
Never heard of that. That's interesting.
Yeah. I've only seen pictures of them. So, yeah.
That's simply amazing.
Yeah.
And so while we're on the different types of tags that we're talking about real here, I know this might be a little touchy subject for some folks, but we kind of covered this real briefly before we got on the air. Crematory tags. I find about a half a dozen every season because I am on the water here. A lot of people spread their ashes, and along with their loved ones, they'll also throw the whole entire bag that the ashes come in, and lo and behold, the bag will rot away, and I will come along and find the toe tag, or bag tag, I guess it would be, with the name crematory. I always send it back into the ocean, but I just don't feel it's my obligation to keep something like that.
Yeah, and I myself have not found one of those, but yeah, from what you've explained and found, it would be very similar. Probably looks very similar to a dog tag. I'd probably take it home and be all excited and then do the research and realize what I have, and I would do just as you suggest, go right back where you found it and give it right back to where it should be.
Yeah, at that point, kind of going, oh, not so much.
Yeah, I usually send it. I skip it like a stone, and I send it off into the ocean where it belongs. And I hope that if it comes down to it, that someone will do the same for me. So, but I just didn't know if I'm sure that's a kind of a weird collection to have, but to my knowledge, I don't know anybody that has one. So I'm hoping. I'm hoping that, I'm hoping that they send them back. But, that's just my own preference. I mean, everybody does their own thing.
That's right. Yeah. It might just go in their junk drawer if they find it. Yeah. Just like a lot of dog tags get. A lot of metal detectors are more interested in coins and stuff, and they'll find some dog tags, and it just kind of goes in with their other stuff, and they don't really think much of it. So it's probably right along with that sometimes.
Fact is, I'm exactly guilty of that particular situation. I've kept almost everything I've had for years and years, and I happen to be going through one of my old boxes, and in amongst some of the junk was a toe tag. I remember where I found it, as I'm sure you find things that you remember exactly digging them. I went back to the same beach and threw it back, but only 20 years later.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That is awesome.
I didn't know what they were. At the time, I had no idea what they were. I was a young guy. I didn't know what this was all going to turn into some 30-something years later. And so going through it, I went, oh, my goodness, that's a toe tag. So I do remember finding it down on the beach. So I went down just recently, within the last 5 years, and threw it back out there. So, again,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I imagine the first one, you're probably just kind of going, oh, well, that's kind of interesting, and drop it in the pouch. How is anybody supposed to know?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how we learn. We see these finds or the finds that someone else makes and start to put two and two together and become a little more knowledgeable ourselves along the way.
That's right.
Hey, like I said earlier, I've been doing this a long time myself, and I still learn. Still learn every time I go out. I'm talking with new people, such as yourself, and there's always room for improvement.
Right.
That's right. That's the best thing about this hobby: the researching, the fun, the people you meet, the opportunities. It's great.
Right.
And I see where Jeff Miller says apparently he found a dog tag that's 1 year older than what the book states.
That might be documented already. I'll check my book. I know he did. And most county tags are very well documented because they made so many of them. So those are usually the ones that are pretty much well documented. I do remember Jeff had reported I look in my book here. I keep good notes. And I think it was a Perry County, Illinois. And I think the book had, if I remember right, had 1919, but then he had found a 1918. Yep, sure enough, I've got it changed in my book here. And that's one nice thing about Dr. Bone. He makes his book and he double spaces everything because he knows this is a work in progress, and there's going to be changes. So yeah, he leaves a space in there, and I can scratch it out and write it in there. And I always send an email to him. I put it in, take a picture and send it to him so he can update his database and reflects these changes in the future printings of his book.
Well, that's cool. It leaves you plenty of room for, annotations.
That's right, yep.
That's a good idea. What a great way to make a book. Is the book illustrated also?
Well, there is some. Yeah, it's got pictures in each section. He's got it separated by states, okay. And then within the state, he lists the cities, towns first, and then counties, and then if there isn't any county, if it's a state that has townships. Some of the states have issued the tags too. Probably the most common pre-1900 dog tag is the 1882 Indiana state tag, and it's a state-issued tag. And it's very well known. Several hundred are known, and they're very, very neat ones. And actually, of that one, I actually in my collection for a while, and I ended up doing a trade. I had serial number 5 of that, and they issued tens of thousands of tags, and I had number 5, which is a very low number.
Wow.
But still, to have number 1 of that would, oh my gosh, and it's hard to put a price on something like that. And that's one thing I need to reiterate with dog tags. There is no set price, guys, for this. This book that we have is more of a reference just to what's known. Dog tag, the pricing of a dog tag is very subjective. There is no set pricing. It's just what someone's willing to pay for it. That's what it's worth. And so, yeah. So, sometimes sometimes I'd rather someone take it and put it up on eBay, because someone will send me a picture and say, how much you pay me for this? And I get all jazzed and excited about it. I probably overpay for stuff. If they put it on eBay and I had to bid against other people, if nobody else has interest in it, the price wouldn't go very high. But anyway, it is kind of a funny thing, because then I'll get people that, I've had people a little offended at my price, because then they ask somebody else that has a little more interest and they're willing to pay more money. And then they're like, well, they offered to pay me this much. And I was like, well, I wasn't trying to lowball you. That's just what I was willing to pay for it. If they're willing to pay more, sell it to them. That's fine.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. Maybe it was from their area or something, so they really wanted it.
Yeah. Again, back to that. Yeah, their area. If that's what they need to fill their collection, they're going to put more money into it. Or like the planted shapes, the shapes and the disc of metal are made out of. There's dog tag shape. Dog house shapes. Or what do you call that? A fire hydrant shape. There's clover. There's octagon. Oh my gosh, the list is endless. Horseshoes. Turtle. I think a turtle shaped dog tag, an old one. So that kind of stuff can bring interest, very high interest. If it's a funny shape, or something, different, yeah. But it's really hard to price dog tags, and I just recommend if you want to get top dollar for it, put it on eBay. There's all of us guys that collect that stuff. We get on there, we all see it, and if we're interested in it, we will pay the money for it. So.
Yeah, I have a couple that are interesting shapes. I have a couple that are like a shield or a badge, a couple of the doghouse ones, some of the clover ones, like you said. I do have fire hydrants, like you also said, too. Some are shapes of bells, whistles, really strange.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's some that don't even have a name. There's just such an oddball shape that you just don't know.
I know the other night when I spoke with Neil, I was telling him how I've got a Chicago beehive.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, man. Yeah, beehive. Cool. Yeah, there's some generic ones that are just like a coin, just round, or a square, or a rectangle. Yeah, there's lots of those too. That's fine. But some agencies issued very elaborate ones, like Chicago from the 1880s. They're like just like coin, like dice struck like a coin, like they've got raised images and stuff on them. When most dog tags are more incused, they're just a disc of metal, however they want to make the shape of the planter, and then it's just pressed into it. Some agencies made really beautiful die struck tags that are very highly sought after.
I got a buddy of mine, Neil, that has one from 1890 locally here from Massachusetts. I'll have to dig him up and find out what exactly town it's from. We don't have, ours are cities, and so that's how ours are struck for each town or city. Not necessarily state itself. They always have Mass on the end of them, but I'll have to check it out. Maybe it might be one that might end up in the book. I know it's from 1890, and he found it last year.
Wow, yeah, we'd love to see that, and that's actually the specialty of Dr. Bone. He collects any pre-1900 dog tag, and he likes to document them all. Yeah, he documents the serial number, the issuing agency, whatever city or town it's from, and who owns it. I mean, you should see his records. He likes to put who owns it. If he knows, he puts it on there. Anyway, he would love to see that and get that report.
And since this is a reference book, does it happen to mention maybe the shape and metallic composition of the known tags that are in the book?
Not really. No, this would. I mean, this is a huge book. You should see the size of it. Let me see how many pages it is. And right now, it's 500 pages, and it basically is a list. It's mostly just a text list. It says the issuing agency and the year, the oldest known, and that's all. I mean, there's some specialty areas in the back of the book, like talk about different things. Certificates. Wow. A lot of times people just got a paper. Before they started issuing tag, it was just a paper that you got when you went and paid the tax. So there's a section in there about that. So that's another collectible in that for the paper certificate. There's plenty of guys that collect those too. And those were mostly shredded after a while, or just thrown away when they were done with it for that year.
Right. Are all the tags the same metal base, like Josh was just asking? Are they all brass, or are they aluminum nowadays? Or
they mostly at the beginning were mostly brass, but there is early aluminum ones. I even had a 1897 Detroit, Michigan that was aluminum planchet. Okay. During the World War II era, there was a few what they call fiber. I'm not even sure what it is. They call it a fiber tag, but I'm not sure what the composition is. Odd. It's not even really metal. There's some zinc
like
ones
a hard plastic wafer or something.
Yeah, it's almost like they call it, there is some plasticky ones too. Yeah, it's kind of like that. And then there's some that is almost cardboard, like a mix of plastic and cardboard together. Very weird. Yeah.
Yeah, like a really weird coating on it.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever even been in the presence of one of those. I've never seen one. I mean, I've heard of them. I've seen some plastic ones that you can buy nowadays, but to go back that far, and to have one made of aluminum, that's just were they do you think they were made out of aluminum because they were trying to be cheap at the time, or just the most available type of material that they could use?
Yeah, I'm not sure. And actually, at one point, I'd heard some. I don't know how true that is, but I was told that aluminum was a little expensive back then, actually. But it's a good conductive metal. They usually come in really well on a metal detector. So when I find them, I'm happy. I found here in where I'm at, and I'm in Eugene, Oregon, which is Lane County. I found a 1934 Lane County dog license tag that was aluminum, and it held up pretty well on the ground. Actually, not too bad. And that's probably another thing I should touch up on is some of the tags say dog tax, some say dog license. It all means the same. There's no difference. Dog tax, dog license, dog permit, registered dog. In Ohio, they put reg dog, R-E-G period dog, registered dog.
Right.
Yeah, it's all the same thing. It doesn't mean anything different. Just depends on what the issuing agency wanted to call it. Yeah.
Well, when they say dog license, I think that's a nicer way than saying dog tax. So it makes the better.
That's right.
They were being a little politically correct.
Yes.
Yeah, soften the blow to them a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's $15 no matter how you look at it.
That's right. You're paying money. Yeah.
Yep. That's cool.
That's right. Well, I guess we'll let everybody know, hopefully as long as our Skype glitch was resolved from last week. The call-in number is 419-549-5744. If anyone has any questions about dog tags or comments for Neil, I'm curious. I mean, we know that you collect them. We know that there's other people in the States that collect them. But what about overseas? Do they pursue this like some of us do?
There are some, and there is a Facebook page that is in, I think it's out of Poland. I can't read any of it. I don't know what they're saying, but I'm a member of it, and they post amazing. Their dog tags are amazing. They have the dog tags dated back to the 1700s. I've seen Dutch ones that are 1790s for the dog, and some of the planchets and those are just absolutely amazing. What they put into them, they are die struck. They're sizable, and I've never been able to buy any. They don't really get. It's hard to communicate with them because they don't speak the same language. But I got invited by a guy that was on our club is called the ISALC. It stands for International Society of Animal License Collectors.
And is that on Facebook or on
They do have a Facebook page. It's a closed group, so you have to be invited into it. So if anybody is interested into seeing it, they can friend me on Facebook, Neil McElroy, and they can find me. I always have my avatar picture is a dog tag, so you can probably find me pretty fast. And yeah, if you're my friend, I can add you to that if you're interested in seeing what other people have for dog tags and just connecting with people. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, but yeah, the overseas dog tags, I'm myself not so interested in foreign ones, but I've seen some beautiful ones, and other people are very interested. But it doesn't seem to be a real big hobby anywhere. It's a pretty shallow collector base. As of right now, we only have 120 members in our club worldwide, not just in the nation, but worldwide, 120 members. So it is a little bit shallow, but at least the guys that are interested in it, they do pay money for a dog tag. They're willing to pay for it if they want a collection. They are not shy about putting out some money.
I guess that with only 120 members worldwide, that kind of makes the competition a little stiff when one comes available that somebody wants.
Yeah, and exactly, and most people do put it on eBay. I mean, that's the thing and with no set pricing, you're just not sure. You put it on eBay, and there's plenty of people that are on there that are willing to pay for them. You let the collector make the price, and oh gosh, it's amazing to see the price sometimes. And then sometimes you're a little disappointed. I've had tags that that I thought were going to go great that didn't go so good. Extras I had or ones I wasn't as interested in as other ones. But then sometimes you put up other ones if you can get just a couple people that want it, and that's one thing. Is some people
all it takes.
Yeah. Like I found there's a few people in La Crosse, Wisconsin, that are crazy about anything with the name La Crosse, Wisconsin on it. So the dog tags, they don't necessarily collect dog tags, but I put up a few La Crosse, Wisconsin, early 1900s dog tags, and the prices were crazy. There's a few people that were bidding against each other just because they wanted it. Wow, yeah, I was absolutely amazed. When I had a similar tag from a different town, I had one from I think it was Greenland, Michigan. It was basically the same exact tag, same date, same shape, sold for $20. The one from La Crosse, Wisconsin, sold for $170. It was like, why? So that's a huge span. So yeah, so the interest, it just depends on the area and who's bidding against you or whatever. Yeah.
Sounds like I need to be looking a little harder for dog tags.
Yeah, some can bring, the pre-1900s really do bring pretty good money. Usually if you got a pre-1900, mostly you're starting out about $100 bill for a pre-1900 one, right about there. Depending on condition, obviously, the better the condition, the higher, prices you'll get. But the other nice thing with dog tags is it's okay to clean them, actually. Unlike, coins and stuff like that, the collectors of those, if you clean it, it kills the collector value or the numismatic value of them.
You read my mind. I was just going to bring that up, because with coins, if we clean them, we hurt the value.
Yeah.
But with dog tags, not so much. Now, your opinion, with you being a collector who buys or trades for dog tags, how do you prefer to receive them? Do you mind if they're cleaned up, or do you prefer to get them however so that you can clean and restore them yourself?
Exactly. I would prefer to people to just leave them the way they are, just the way you found it, because I don't want them using any harsh chemicals or whatever. And even what I do isn't really big secret. I don't do it to aluminum tags, but the brass ones, I tumble them in a rock tumbler with some aquarium gravel, some soapy water, and let them go for a day or 2 or 3. Sometimes I've tumbled tags for 3 days, just let it go and go and go. And it's amazing. It doesn't ruin them. You can't even hardly tell they're not scratched up or anything. It just kind of polishes them up and just makes them look much more presentable. And and I've never had any collector balk at it or tell me. I learned this method from Dr. Bone himself. He's the top guy of dog license tags, and yeah, that's the way he does it. So I've never really had big conversations about it, but that's what I've found.
Right. Well, that was going to be another thing, was if you had a recommendation for cleaning them. You were saying, Leighton?
I was just going to ask him a question. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, like he said, after 2 or 3 days tumbling, it's all going to, the scratches turn into a beautiful luster anyway, no matter what. But I was just wondering, Neil, do you have any dog parks there at all where you could actually go to, like we do here on the East Coast? They've actually got dog parks where you can take your dog to, and I'm sure there's many licenses lost there. And we also have a second question by Grandma Tam. She wanted to know if you actually own any dogs.
I just saw that.
That is so funny. I got into dog tag. I'm actually a cat guy. We don't own dogs. I'm a property manager, and I live in a large apartment complex, about 200 units, and yeah, I mean, some of my tenants have dogs. We allow them. I just myself, having a dog is almost like having another child. It's a lot of work to take care of a dog, but no, I'm actually not much of a dog guy. I like animals. I like all animals, but yeah, it is funny that when I meet these other fellows that collect dog tags, they are all very big dog people, and they actually usually have a job in, taking care of rescuing dogs and whatever, and they're very much into dogs, and I'm kind of an outsider in that fact that I'm actually not much. I prefer not to have a dog, but I like dog tags.
You're all right with Grandma Tam being a cat person.
Yeah, I love cats, but anyway, dog parks, it's funny. We have plenty around here. I see them, and I've thought that, but I don't know why they're fenced off, and there's people in there. I've just never gone in there with my detector. I've never done it, but I sure want to, and I'm going to try to. So yeah, I'm sure somebody has, and I would love to see their dog tags. If they find any, please send me pictures.
Right. Well, the thing is here, this is relatively new. I don't remember or recall any particular areas that were considered just a dog park back, maybe more than the last 10 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a new sort of area.
So, if you're going to find them, I'm assuming it would probably be a fairly new tag, or at least within the last 10 or 15 years of searching. But, mostly where I find dog tags, I don't know about you, but particularly here on the East Coast, we do find them in our parks. Back in the day, we never had to worry about locking our dogs up. We opened the front door at 7 a.m. and let them run for the day, and at night they came home. Now, everything's so politically correct. You have to have them on a dog leash, less than 6 feet long. You can only have them in your yard, blah, blah, blah. You know all the stories, but... So that really confines, the loss of these tags. So if you do find one in a park, it probably is going to be an old one. So that's where we used to find most of our tags back in the day.
Yeah.
Was in
city parks. Yeah, definitely more in the city parks or backyards. Like if you get permission to do somebody's house, I've found in their backyard is where you find the dog tags if you're going to find any anyway. I did talk to a fellow, actually hooked up a guy from Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and he had probably 20 pre-1900 Cape Girardeau tags. And I was like, how did you get so many of these? And he found them around the courthouse in that town. They let him do the yard around there, and he found all these dog tags around the courthouse. I don't know if that's always been the courthouse. It's just so hard to say. And I don't know if they were leftover tags that didn't get issued that year, and no one knew what to do with them, so they just took them outside and threw them in the grass. Who knows? Very interesting. Yeah.
I know. I've had almost the same type of situation where I was up against a school, and I guess they must have had an area where I guess maybe some of the kids must have had some lockers, and I found probably about 300 locker tags.
Wow. That's awesome.
And in fact, I got so many of them that I stopped digging them. So what I did was I started weeding through the numbers, and I started keeping all the double numbers or all the same numbers, like we touched on earlier in the show. I kept all the nice ones and threw the other ones away. But here we are 25 years later. I wish I had kept them all now.
Yeah, exactly. Oh
right,
my gosh,
kind of going,
awesome.
There's a collector base for dog tags. I wonder if there's collector bases for these other tags.
Yep, for the locker tags. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's possible, because you never know. I know when I was putting the promo out, there were a number of people commenting saying, well, I didn't even realize there was a collector base.
Yeah, I mean, I even keep all my beach tags here like I said, on the beach. When you were issued a locker at the beach, they gave you a safety pin, and on that safety pin, it used to have the locker key, and I can't tell you how many, over the years I've found from every number from 1 to, 10,000. There are so many of these beach tags, and they have the name of the beach where they came from, so I never post that because then everybody knows where I'm going, right?
Right. Past Pursuit posted that he found a Milkbone brand dog tag.
Oh yes, and
Must
that
have been
is,
an advertising dog tag, like the. I've seen some of them too, and he wants to know if they are hard to run across or if they are in fact collectible.
They are, and that's another thing within this hobby. There's basically 3 different types of tags. I collect the license tag or the tax tag. What he's referring to, those milk bone tags, are basically an ID
advertising or
tag.
promotional tag.
Yeah. It was kind of to promote, whoever you went through. I've seen rival dog food ones and milk bone.
Yeah, I've got
so
some
basically
rival
you could.
ones.
Yeah, so if you paid and you could get your name and put on there, so if your dog got loose and someone would read it on there, can bring it back, you got your phone number or your address on it or whatever. So yeah, there's collector baits for those. It's very small, even lower than regular dog tags. And then there's also rabies vaccine tags, that were issued by the pharmaceutical company that made the vaccine. Pittman Moore, I think, is one of them. There's several different ones. So yeah, within dog tags, yeah, there's tax tags or license tags. There's the rabies tags, and then there's just the ID tags. So, yeah, much less interest in those, but they can be neat, and sometimes you find them together. If the whole ring of tags fell off together, you'll find the whole thing. That's always fun to see. Yeah.
I know, also, too, we were talking about the safety pins that were provided for the key, and you used to attach them to your bathing suit. And, of course, the safety pin would break open because they were very, cheaply made in the surf. But, I remember when I was a kid, my dad telling me that when he used to get the keys, they used to come with an elastic, and the elastic would go around their wrist. And so I found a few of them with the elastics still there. They're all rotten from being in the ground, but, I find them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very neat.
Little different topic there, but,
yeah.
It definitely a pretty cool thing to find.
Definitely, yeah, it's fun to see that. Yeah, the different era, huh?
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit too about that number 1 that I had from Kent County. A buddy of ours gave us some permission to hunt his private property, and I have to agree. I think that you'll probably find, if that's what you're looking for specifically, that's probably the best place to go looking for. I'm sure that's a question that maybe somebody might want to ask you sometime. Where would you go? But to find a particular thing, especially singled out like this on this particular show, I think a personal piece of property would probably be your best bet, where you're going to find the local dog tag that belonged to that owner, and I'm thinking that's where you would probably be a good start.
Yes.
Yeah, there have been some private properties that I've been on to where I've hit them from, I don't know, say the early 20s, early 30s.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're out there. I found them just about everywhere. I found them at public parks. I found them at the grounds at the University of Oregon. Has got lots of grounds here where I live, home of the Ducks. Go there and go detect them. And I found a San Diego County, California dog tag at the university. They're right in the middle of the grounds there. So how that got there was like 1990 or something with a date on the tag. So you just never know. You don't always find them from where you're at. You can find them from all over. So,
sure.
The story how it got there would be interesting to know.
Yeah, I was going to say, here's another little aspect of it, too. Here's something that you can actually put with it, a name of the dog. That particular one from Kent County that I got, that we talked about earlier in the program, just prior to the program, I actually know the name of the dog that it went to. So on the back of the tag, I put a little tiny sticker. I put the dog's name on it, and so that way, if 5 or 10 years I start to get a little crazy, I'll remember the name.
that is very rare to get that information, because I think the tag was dated 1927 or something like that. It's pretty old. So that's amazing information you have there. That's great.
But it just goes to show sometimes how much research we put into our finds that we make.
Yeah, that's good. Most of them issuing agencies that have purged their files after only about 10 or 15 years. I've had people want to get a hold of the agency and see if they can find out who owned it, but that's almost impossible to find that if it has any age to it at all. Yeah.
Well, with today's technology, maybe the database will start to keep all that information for a little longer than 15 years. It's sad to know that they've actually, like you said, purged that. But who knows? Maybe in the future that'll be something that more people will get involved in. It would be really cool to have the name of the dog, or some of these livery tags to find out exactly what they were made for and what they were, hey, I'm sure there were cows that were out there that were somebody's best friend at one time. So
that's right. Yeah, I guess maybe they figured the dog wasn't going to live much longer than that, so why need the information? Hard to say why they would do that, but yeah, I guess they just didn't need that information for very long. But yeah, it's one of those things to be able to research your find, no matter what it be. It's so fun, but yeah, you get short stopped pretty fast with dog tags if that's what you're looking for anyway. Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, and I know, like, what the token database, you can make submissions online to that to help build their database of information. How do people get submissions to Dr. Bone for his book? They just call you, they call him?
Oh.
Is there a website they can do it through, or?
Yeah, well, sometimes on that Facebook, people will post stuff, and if he sees it, or if I prompt him to see it, then he will, make the changes or put it into his information. Yeah, it's we don't have a database like that. Actually, if you go on that tokencatalog.com, if you put in dog tax or dog license, there's actually plenty of people that have posted dog tags or dogs. I've actually found a few on there that were unreported. We didn't know about them, and I was amazed that they were on there. I just happened to run across them. So, but yeah, maybe that would be something we should start doing or think about. Somebody hasn't, because we're not really on the internet. The club anyway isn't really. I mean, we both mostly deal with emails between each other, but to report and to put it into the database mostly is just emails or phone calls or whatever. We'd like to see the tag, so to take a picture of it at least, because we don't have to actually see the actual tag in person, just a picture of it, just to verify what's being reported. Then then we can change the database. A lot of dog tags don't have the state on it. That's another thing. It just has the city's name on there. So if someone found it in that city, we need to know that. We need to hear from the finder, the metal detectorist or however it was found, to be able to properly attribute it. Just recently, a guy in Trenton, Utah, which in the book, the dog tag book, there's no listing for any known dog tag from Trenton, Utah. And the guy was doing some sifting. He found a 1928 dog tax tag, and all it says on it is Trenton, but you're 99.9% sure it's from Trenton, Utah. It's the very first ever known to be from that town, whether it be modern or old. It was pretty amazing to see that. So that's the kind of information we would need with the report. We'd need that, the pedigree, or however you say
the conditions that it was found under.
Yeah. Yeah, because most are found in the area they were actually issued in. Yeah, exactly. So.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'd love to hear from people. If anybody, I could give out my email if that's proper to do. I don't know.
Absolutely. If you would like to share, because that was another thing with the show. I thought, well, a lot of people don't realize that there is this resource of information out there, and if they don't know it's out there, they don't know that they can contribute to it.
Yes, and we would love to get some, just to contribute. And even if you don't know, I mean, obviously you wouldn't know if you got something. I don't mind getting bombarded with emails. You can send me emails all day long with pictures of dog tags. I'll look at it and tell you if you got something we don't have in our book. I'd love to see what you got, because it doesn't necessarily have to be super old to be a new report. I've been looking for a Monmouth, Oregon, which is just right outside of Salem, Oregon, and I know there's dog tags there. But I've only seen very modern ones. So in the book, there is absolutely no listing for Monmouth, Oregon, yet, because I haven't really I wanted to get one with a little bit of age on it just to be able to submit it. But I've seen like 2013, 2014 Monmouth, Oregon. So anyway, it doesn't necessarily have to be super old to be a new report, and we'd love to get the reports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you were saying there with Trenton. I mean, obviously his was older, but it was still the only known example right then.
Yeah, it was the first. The first reported. Yeah, you just never know, when these are going to pop up, and it's so open ended. I mean, it's vast, and this project of putting in the database is going to be just like the token database. I mean, it's almost endless. I mean, every day there's new submissions all the time. There could be every day. I guess it probably isn't every day, but it's there's plenty out there to be known. We'd love to get the reports. If anyone ever wants to email me, my email address is oddcoins@msn.com, or you can just get on my Facebook too. If you're my Facebook friend, send me a picture through the Facebook is fine. That's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Neil, is that well, we got another question by Grandma Tam. She wants to know that you mentioned something about goat tags earlier. She wants to know, were they required in lots of areas or just a small area?
A very small area. Off the top of my head, I can't even think of where I seen the goat tags from, but I guess it depends on that issuing agency. That agency, if they decided they needed some more revenue and wanted to make a tax, they did it. So, yeah.
It's cool.
But,
And were they pretty much, like off the top of your head, the only animals that seem to have went through the similar tagging process like that? Were the dogs and cats and goats?
yeah, obviously dogs is the main thing. Cats is pretty small. I mean, there's plenty more of those, but yeah, then after that, there's the livery tags or the dray. In Canada, the dray tags, D-R-A-Y, is another they'd have to do. You can see tags that say double dray, means there was 2 horses on that one, carriage or whatever. Yeah, those are.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, I've seen most of those are out of Canada, but I've seen some in the U.S. More major cities. Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, how about that, Leighton? It looks like we both learned a little something tonight.
I certainly did. Like we mentioned earlier, again, prior to the show, it doesn't matter who you are or how long you've been doing it. You can always learn from something.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. And, knowledge is power.
It is.
That's right.
That's right. Knowledge is king. That's right. So Mr. Keebler actually had a pretty good question. He wanted to know if there are such a thing as a military animal tag. Never thought of that.
And that's another area of collecting. Air Force bases. They would on the I've seen I'm trying to think if there's any other military stuff, but yes, there is military. I had a fella down in California send me a Beale Air Force Base dog tag, and I can't remember if it was for a tax or a license or if it was the vaccine tag. Actually, it might have, but yes, there is. There's plenty of those of the Air Force Base tags. Actually,
well, that's something I've never found. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it's very neat, actually. It's a very good question. I kind of forgot about that because they are hard to find, hard to come across, actually.
Right.
And with this book, I imagine that it just basically documents the tags for the United States alone? Well, it hasn't overlapped into anything else yet. I would hope that someone would pick up, and I don't know of any known publications for Canadian dog tags, but there's some really neat Canadian dog tags out there. Guys, I see on the forums people find some amazing dog tags out of the various cities and stuff up north there. And we just had posted in the chat from Diggin' Freedom that Mr. Crabinet found an 1881 dog tag over in the Netherlands.
Wow, yeah, see, that's amazing, isn't it? Yep, those the European ones are very old, and they're very elaborate, beautiful tags too. It's amazing for how old they are. They really put some thought into it. Some of the designs are just beautiful. I've seen one where it's got like a couple little kids sitting with a dog, just so elaborate. It's like they just really went all out on their tags. So,
and that email address, Neil, was oddcoins@msn.com, correct?
That's right. Yeah, oddcoins, ODDCOINS, all one word there. At msn.com. Yep, that's fine.
Yeah, because we had somebody in the chat trying to confirm. And do you have a email address for Dr. Bone, or do you just basically everything just kind of goes through you?
Oh, you can do it that way, and he's he's a super nice guy. He'll respond to you. Also, that's great. And I didn't verify if it's okay to give out his email address, so maybe I can ask him first.
Maybe we should just leave that with they can go through you. And, if they need a more direct contact, maybe you can take care of that in a not so public fashion.
Yeah, just to verify. And he offered this a few months ago, and I forgot to verify with him that he's still doing it. Like I said, last October I went and visited him. He literally has millions of dog tags. He has a dog tag room that has Rubbermaid buckets that are to the top of dog tags. He is trying to give these dog tags away. So he was giving out packages of dozens of dog tags. All you had to do was email him your address, name and address, and he would send you dog tags for free. And he'd try to get them for your area, what you're interested in, because he's got them separated. And I was going to make that phone call today. Got busy at work and forgot to make that phone call to him. But I will double check with that and make sure he's still doing that, because I can't imagine he'd given away all those dog tags. I went there and stayed a week with him. I got to go through 2 of the buckets. He had about 20 of those buckets full of tens of thousands of dog tags. I went through 2 of them, staying up till midnight every night to look through, looking for the stuff I'm interested in. I barely made a dent in them. So wow. I'm waiting for the day to go back to visit him to be able to look through them more. So yeah.
And how is he achieving them, Neil? Is he getting them too from people? They just sending them to him, or how does he get them?
He got all those, like I said, he's been doing it for over 40 years, so it's a huge accumulation. He's gotten them from agencies that just the leftovers that they didn't issue them. They'd order a few thousand a year, and if they didn't use them all, they would just send him the rest. And he's bought in collections, and that's one thing is when you get it, you look through a collection of people that collect them, and there's usually only a few tags you're interested in, but people don't want to just sell those few; they want to sell the whole collection. So he gets multiples or just extra stuff, and he just puts them away. And I was absolutely mind-boggling when I went to go visit him and to see his holdings. I was just floored at how much he had accumulated over 40 years.
Right, I wasn't sure if he was a metal detectorist also, and that's how he kind of got started. But I'm glad that you clarified that. That's pretty cool.
Yes, he got into it from being the vet doctor, so he kind of got interested that way, seeing the dog tags, and thought it would be a neat collectible. But no, he's not into metal detecting. He actually lined me up with lots of areas to metal detect when I went to go visit him last year, and we had a great time going around and had a fun time in Western Kentucky. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't find any dog tags while I was there, not in the ground, but I found some other stuff though. It was a blast.
And you say that this is his newest edition. How many editions have been done?
Well, I think
how often are these done?
Well, he calls it, this one I have now, it still says a second edition, but he does, every few years when he gets a lot of new reports, he'll revise it and put the additions in there, the new reports and new listings, and then he'll print some more of them. He does it all himself. He publishes himself and has it done up. He'll make, I think, 20 of them at a time, and when he gets down and sells them, then he'll make some more. So even though it says
these really are very unique books.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's very unique, and I'm not sure how many on this last time when he printed these up, how many he has left of them. So it'll probably be another year or two before he prints any more. But if you become a member of the ISALC, it's only $10 a year. It's very cheap to be a member. He will put in the new editions in the. We have a quarterly newsletter called Paw Prints. So it's just kind of like a newsletter, and there's a whole section in there so you can update your own book instead of having to buy the new book when it comes out. If you don't want to have to pay $65 for a new book, you can keep up on all the new editions and just revise your own book. Handwrite it in there. Yeah.
Right. And I assume there's probably some sort of a notification in the newsletter when these new books do become available.
Oh yeah. He will advertise it through the Paw Prints or send out emails to all of his mailing list, and he posted on the Facebook ISALC posting there, or the Facebook page. So if anybody is interested in getting added to that, let me know. I can do that for them if they'd like to see. They don't have to become a member of the club and pay to be a member. They can just be added to the page and see what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing some of that stuff going on. That's interesting. The book is very unique. The topic is very. It's something different. It's something you don't normally hear people talk about.
Yeah, and if you're not thinking about it and looking for it, you probably don't see much about it. But when you start looking into it and going looking for it, coin shops, antique shops, flea markets, when you start looking for it and what you find is absolutely amazing. It's cool. They're out there. You just got to go look for it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it probably kind of threw you for a loop when I contacted you saying, "Hey, how do you feel about being on a show to speak about this?"
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I could talk for hours, and unfortunately, the longer I talk, the louder I get. My wife always makes fun of me because I get way too excited about it.
That's the passion right there, buddy.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
right.
when you're excited about a subject and you're passionate about it, you got to show it.
Yes, I love to, and that's part of the fun of doing this. I got into dog tags, and doing this, I'm actually probably one of the biggest contributors to his book, other than Bill Bone himself, to send him reports. That's kind of part of the hobby too, how much time I spend doing that, finding, just searching out new reports, checking the book to see if it's new. For some reason inside me, I think it's really important to do that. Other guys don't really care, they don't think it's that important. They just like getting their dog tags. So that's
Right.
just another aspect of the hobby. It's another treasure hunt without actually having to put out the money or the effort just to see it and be able to report it. You feel like you did something.
It wouldn't surprise me after tonight's show if you get quite a bit of emails or some personal IMs with people showing you some new tags that you haven't seen before. So my fingers crossed. I hope that
I hope
happens.
so. Yeah.
Yes, I'm hoping so. Yeah, I don't mind getting bombarded with emails. If I get 100 emails, I'll be happy. That'd be great.
They may even contact you for your address and say, "Hey, I've got some I'd like to send
Right.
you," or
Oh yeah, I'd love to see them, and I'm very generous with my offers, and I trade my silver coins for them or pay cash money for them. It's fun, but that's secondary to my hobby, and just like to see them and like to talk to people. If a lot of metal detectors don't like to give up their finds, and that's fine. I totally understand because I'm one of those guys. So if they just want to report it and show it to me, that's great. That's happy. Makes me happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I hope it works out for you. I hope that you get quite a bit of information out of it. Who knows? Hey, even if you get one that you can put into the book tonight after tonight's show, that's a plus. That's something you didn't have before. So, that's that. I hope it works out. If that happens, Neil, would you please let us know?
I will.
absolutely.
I will definitely let you know. I will let you know what all comes through, and hopefully I get to report lots of fun stuff to you.
Because I'm sure this is something where some people were, they honestly did not know that this information was there, so they have probably tuned in tonight just out of sheer curiosity.
Yeah.
Whereas other people do have an interest in the subject, and maybe they tuned in because of their genuine interest in the subject. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get some sort of reports or whatever to tell you about, and I'll keep you abreast. Yeah,
All
great.
right. Would you, and we've already probably covered that, but one more time, would you like to let people know where to find you in case they would like to send you some images?
Yes, please do. Don't hesitate. You're no bug to me. You can send an email to me, oddcoins@msn.com, and that's all one word, oddcoins, ODDCOINS, @msn.com. Or you can find me on Facebook, Neil McElroy. My avatar picture is always of a various dog tag in my collection, so if you do a word search or a name search for Neil McElroy, you should be able to find me pretty fast, and you can send me pictures through there. No problem.
And I'm sure they'll probably see they've got mutual friends in common as well.
Oh, yeah, I've got dozens of detectorist friends on my Facebook, so yeah.
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Well, before we let you go, I know Leighton had mentioned some of his tags. Do you have any, one favorite tag that kind of jumps to the front of your mind?
One of my recent tags I acquired, actually just within the last week or so, was from Mount Sterling, Illinois, 1907, serial number 1, was found by Lee, and I don't remember his last name right offhand. He's out of Illinois, obviously, but yeah, he found that, and took me a couple of weeks of writing to him and negotiating them, and and an over offer. I paid probably more for that tag than I have just about any other tag. But yeah, I did a lot of silver coins and some cash money, and finally made it. He didn't want to give it up, but I told him I was so passionate about it, I could hardly sleep at night when I seen him post that on his Facebook. He found a 1907 Mount Sterling, Illinois tag, serial number 1. Oh my God. I
can't leave that said. I'm going to make you a deal you can't refuse.
Yeah?
I want that tag.
Yeah, that's what I basically did to the guy, and I felt bad for bugging him, but I couldn't. And he finally gave in and was nice. And now we've actually made some other trades for other tags he had in his collection. And yeah, so I've just about depleted my whole silver hoard that I have. My over offerings is fine. That's fine with me. If that's what I think. And if you do collect anything and you're a collector, don't hesitate to put out the money for it. If that's what you like, put out the money. It's worth it to you if you want it. Put out the money or do the trade, get what you want.
That's
Absolutely,
right. It may not ever come by again. That's right. Do it while you can. The time to buy is when you see it.
That's right.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, we certainly appreciate you for taking the time to sit down and discuss this interesting topic tonight, Neil.
Well, that's great. Pleasure's all mine, guys. That was awesome.
All right. Yeah. Well, I guess we're pretty much at the end of our rope, so hang in there with me, guys. For everyone else, hey, it has certainly been an interesting time. We appreciate everyone for dropping by, tuning in tonight. If you thought it was an interesting topic or you enjoyed the show, drop us a like, click the hands, throw us some stars. If you've got a topic you'd like to hear, I'm not hard to find. People know where to find me for sure. Let me know. Send me a message. Somebody you'd like to hear on the show. Also, advanced promo. It hasn't even showed up on Facebook yet, but October 21st, Frank Pandozzi. We will be talking about ghost town hunting. And we've got a few other shows coming up about ghost towns. Until then, though, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Stay tuned. And, we will certainly be around, and we'll be back next week. We'll see you, folks.